One great thing about social media is the opportunity to learn from those outside of your immediate circle. How many of us go to social media to ask a question about our hobbies, our life, and even our work? Now, what if you could do that if it was focused on your professional trade? While at the recent NICA convention, I was introduced to some of the team at Trade Hounds, including John Clark, CTO, and Jeanette Abrahamsen, Vice President of Social and Content. Now, imagine LinkedIn and Instagram had a baby. This would be Trade Hounds. Now, however, instead of focusing on the office team like LinkedIn, it focuses on the tradespeople in the field. Not just for electrical, though, multiple trades in all areas. Now, I really had a great time getting to know them and talking with them and learning about their vision and how it's already improving the lives of tradespeople. Welcome to Keeping the Lights On. I'm your host, Todd Reed, and on this podcast, I connect with the owners and pros who design, build, and maintain our electrical, communications, and industrial world to explore the best ways forward. Let's get into the show.
Well, as you know, we're recording from NICA 2024, and normally I set up interviews beforehand and we kind of plan things out, but someone suggested I go see this booth called Trade Hounds, interesting name. And so I walked over there and started asking around, like, hey, who could I interview? Because it seemed like a pretty interesting concept. I met Jeanette over there, and she and I started talking, and then we roped John into the thing. So here we are the next day having a little different kind of interview format than I normally do. But we're going to talk about an online community for tradespeople, which is a pretty cool concept and something I've thought about I've been in this kind of industry for like 25 years and thought, man, why does this not exist? And I think there's probably been forums and stuff around that have kind of gone on like chat boards probably, but seeing what Trade Hounds was doing was very interesting. John started talking, Jeanette, we all started getting pumped up and excited. So I thought, we got to capture this. So then now here we are capturing it. So I appreciate you both coming on here. So first of all, we're going to do a little introduction first so we can get to know who you are. And so we'll start, John, start over there with you. So just tell us your name and kind of what your role is with the company, maybe like a minute background on who you are and where you come from. So.
Sure. Yeah. John Clark was responsible for technology, really, was one of the co-founders of the company. And my background's always been in technology. I've started a number of software companies over the year. I was a kid of the 80s playing with technology and building software. And I guess it was a good time and it was something I really enjoyed. And so, this was an opportunity when I met the gentleman, David, that had the idea for Trade Hounds. This just seemed like a greenfield opportunity to build some great software in a meaningful space and do some good for the world. My family was always in the trades.
Oh, cool.
I should have been lifting bags of shingles on roofs in the New England winters, but I was probably too scrawny for that. So the keyboard spoke to me and kind of the software path took off.
Oh, that's great. Looks like it's done well for you.
So, it's been great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Time.
So Jeanette, what about you? A little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Jeanette Abrahamsen. I'm the Vice President of Social and Content at Trade Hounds. So my background is more in media. I also love technology, but more on the video and social media side.
Okay.
I started really in TV news and in newspapers. And then when social media platforms started coming out, I was really excited about using cell phones to record videos and for storytelling and launched a lot of the social media platforms at my media companies. And then I became a teacher at the University of South Florida and started teaching students how to use social media platforms and cell phones to record videos and tell stories.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
I was really passionate about how you could use cell phones to create communities. And I also have a background with trades in my family. I feel like everybody in the Trade Hounds community has a lot of family history. I watched my dad do a lot of construction growing up and carved my name in the wet cement underneath every room that we built in the house.
Jeanette was here.
Yes, Jeanette was here. So I left my
awesome.
mark, and I always had a deep appreciation for the trades, and I always loved building things.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, obviously a lot of people I talk to have that story. I have like no trades in my background, basically. I mean, I'm sure they're somewhere in the bloodline. So it's just interesting. It's definitely one that's in the blood of people, and people often end up back in the trades. So I always like to start out with a little bit of icebreaking questions, kind of get to know you. So since we started with John, we'll start with Jeanette this time. So Jeanette, what advice would you give 18-year-old Jeanette?
So I guess I was already pretty ambitious at 18, but I think I would probably say like continue to be ambitious. Don't be stressed out about it. It's going to work out. I think technology changes, things evolve. You can't really plan for the future, and I think I think that's like a place where I become really comfortable. If you live on that cutting edge of technology, you're kind of become comfortable not knowing what's next.
Right.
And that's okay. And I think just being really excited and staying enthusiastic and not worrying about like not knowing everything is important. I think a lot of people are afraid of technology because they feel like they don't know everything.
Right.
And especially when technology evolves and things change, and on social platforms we all talk about how the algorithm changes every day.
Yeah.
You're never going to know everything, but that's okay.
Cool. Yeah. John, same question to you.
18-year-old
John, what would you tell him?
Just do what you love to do it well, and continue to dream, and just work with great people, and never be fearful of anything.
Yeah, that's good stuff. All right, so now the next icebreaker. So, John, if I were to visit you in your hometown, or one of these viewers would come to visit you, where might you take them out to eat?
If you come to Boston, I'm probably going to take you to a place that's not on the map called Santarpio's Pizza.
Okay.
It's in East Boston, definitely a bit of a mob joint.
Okay.
Whitey Bulger hangout from back in the day, but great lamb kebabs and pizza, cash only, and there's usually quite a line out the door to get in. It's a wonderful place.
That's that's why I love this question, because I'm finding all these places. That's fantastic. Jeanette, same to you.
I would take you to Norway. That's where I'm from.
Norway?
And,
holy cow. Okay, it's gonna be expensive. That's fine. Okay.
It's okay. It's worth it. I would take you to a bakery in Norway where they have the best pastries and ice cream and chocolate. It's amazing. I'd say Norway has hands down the best pastries.
Wow.
And chocolate and ice cream in the world.
That's a great. I don't think I've had a question where we have to travel outside the country
You have
yet.
to. Sorry, it's going to be worth it though.
Think about that.
You'll
That's
love
awesome.
it.
That's great. Thank you for that. Okay, so I was walking around. I saw Trade Hounds. I said it's an online community for tradespeople. John, you're kind of around at the founding of it. So maybe if you could just give a little history about, like, kind of why it was founded originally, and kind of a little bit of the story about where it's come.
Yeah, it was interesting. Back at the end of 2017, I was actually looking at some real estate, and my wife were looking at some real estate, and the realtor had a friend, and this happens a lot. He said, "Oh, I have a friend that wants to build an app, and could you connect with him?" Because my background's always been in tech, and of course he said he's looking for investments. So I said, "Okay, here we go again."
Yeah.
But I, kind of reluctantly met with David, who had this idea to create a jobs board with this concept of a video resume. Was really the original idea.
Okay.
And we had lunch, and I'm thinking about it, and I said, I don't know. He was from Australia, and he had come here for his MBA. And I'm thinking, my family are all in trades. They don't really need a jobs board. There's plenty of work to go around.
Yeah, right.
And they have a network among themselves. But what he said at that lunch, it struck me, and it never left. He said, there's no digital home for the worker.
Mm-hmm.
And it was tough because I didn't want to get involved, frankly. And I went home, and I was thinking about this for a long time, about there's no digital home for the worker. And I said, he's right. He's really, really right. And so the more I thought about it, the original idea maybe of the video resume, the idea itself wasn't as important as this concept of, can we provide a digital home for the worker? And it was such a greenfield opportunity. Nobody was doing it. You're right. There was forums out there.
Yeah.
There was chat boards, but there was no vertical community. And then thinking about what that could produce if we got people in the trades together and other features that could be delivered. That was really the start of it. So we built a prototype in 2018 and launched it just to see would it stick. We spent 3 months building something. We had some of my engineers get together and build this. And all of a sudden, tens of thousands of users were on the platform in short order. And it seemed like this had something that was sticky.
So it was more just a kind of a community to talk and share.
Instead of the jobs board, we were worried that there would be, a lot of people either looking for jobs and there was no jobs, or vice versa. You don't want to have a lopsided community.
Sure.
So we spent a lot of time brainstorming on liquidity. We said, let's build the community first and then wrap it with features and utility afterwards. And that's what we did. So instead of a jobs board, we set out to create a social community that was image first, video first. We found that people in the trades, they were using their phone for some killer features, right? The flashlight because a lot of these guys are crawling in places, and
Yep.
that was a killer feature actually of the mobile phone and modern phones, and the camera too, right? The camera was so ubiquitously used.
Right.
So we said let's do something that really replicates that. So it became more of a social image-based feed,
Okay.
and then built the community around that.
Right. I think something you said to me yesterday that really made it stick, LinkedIn and Instagram.
Yeah, if they had a baby, like LinkedIn and Instagram had
Yeah.
a baby, and to create my digital persona and profile in this community, and then have that kind of Instagram-like experience. And that was really the V1 of the product.
Okay. And so what, how's it evolved, and where are we today in 2024 when we're doing this?
Yeah, I mean, we're well over 350,000 users on the platform. That continues to grow every month. We've seen great growth, even at events like this. Just the number of users that have used the product or are learning about it the first time. There's a ton of headroom. The community's grown, but more importantly, the team has really built features around that community to deliver functionality that benefits the worker cradle to grave, whether they're in trade school or whether they've got their license or whether they're nearing retirement. We're trying to bring value to the worker at all different stages, and deliver those features and utilities. Even things like how can they get materials quickly, get things on the job site, real practical things.
Right.
They're being paid fairly. Those are features of this community that really no one else is doing.
Yeah, I think I saw something. You had a really cool display, like a huge phone, in your booth, and it was showing like taking pictures of equipment or something like that. So,
yeah, we're using AI now. You can take pictures of material, equipment, electrical box. It'll even tell you what the breakers are and help you. You snap a picture, it figures out what you're looking at, and it'll actually show you the supply houses near you, wherever you are, that have those in stock.
That's wild. That is pretty cool.
I mean, it's really an awesome intersection of like some of the latest technology that just wasn't available 5 or 10 years ago, and trying to put that as one click or a button in the palm of everyone's hand.
So we're at an electrical trade show, obviously, but it's not just electricians on there, right? It's all trades.
It's all trades.
Yeah, okay. Because I did download it yesterday upon your suggestion, and but very quickly, Bruce. I haven't spent a lot of time in it, but I did think I saw many other trades. So.
All the hard trades are in there, and we have workers from really almost every. A lot of times they say, "Can you add our trade?"
Really?
They're excited to get in there because there's a sense of pride and excitement. As they should. Someone that's working on glass and is very different than someone that's maybe digging dirt or laying concrete or running electrical. I mean, some of the material that we've seen posted, it's art.
Yeah.
Right? And the bends and curves and the amazing attention to detail. All these folks in the trades. They really are artists of their craft.
Yeah, they take a lot of pride. Yeah, I'm with you. I mainly see the electrical things on social media, and the bends, all the beautiful things. It's awesome.
Yeah, exciting to see.
So my wife's a lighting designer, and every room she walks in, she looks up to look at the lights. Now I do it to look at the bends and the valves, and even the HVAC and all that stuff. So that's pretty awesome. Well, Jeanette, let's talk with you a little bit because, like you said, you handle social media and media. So talk to me a little bit about some of the users there. Is it just young people using it? Because, social media and younger generation. Are you seeing all ages, or what's going on there?
We do have all ages, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I think we probably skew a little younger.
Sure.
Just because it's more natural for digital natives to be even looking for something like this.
Okay.
So I think they're the ones who probably find it and discover it and share it with their friends. But we have users of all ages, and I think that's kind of the really cool part about it, is that especially people who tend to be a little older, maybe farther along in their experience, maybe they're master electricians, and they're able to give advice to people who are apprentices coming in. That's one of the tools that I like a lot.
Yeah.
In the community, that people will just ask questions. Like I see a lot of apprentices or people who are younger coming in and saying, like, I'm going to do my first job interview. Like, does anybody have any advice? Or I'm going to try to take my test to become, certified electrician. And does anybody have any advice for me? And so then a lot of the older community, you'll see them in the comments, jumping in, sharing advice, helping really help grow the next generation of electricians and any skilled tradesperson for that matter. And so that's pretty cool. It's nice to have the combination. So it's not just young people. And I think we the community benefits from people at all stages in their career.
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, retirement to school to retirement.
The whole spectrum.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And it'll take time, and people will jump on when they see the benefits of it. I think one of the things you shared with me yesterday was talking about negotiating salary and doing it in a professional way instead of just like, I'm leaving, okay, here's a raise. But doing it in a more professional manner. I think that.
Yeah, even having features around that, are people being paid. How do you compare to others in your industry, in your location? And, it was funny. We got comments, I got a raise because I used Trade Hounds to show my boss that maybe I'm underpaid. And we also had the exact opposite. We had people say, I'm being paid really well. I probably should treat my boss or company better.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Okay. Is it just tradespeople on there, though? I mean, who are some of the other user groups or whatever?
I'm glad you asked. So that's how it really started with tradespeople.
Sure.
And then as we started rolling out more utilities, our users were asking for tools that would help them like find materials near them. And so we started meeting with distributors and manufacturers, and we realized that they have a lot of really good insights and they have a lot of knowledge that's really valuable to share with the community. So now we're growing the community, we're expanding it, we're encouraging people in any position, even if you're a purchasing manager in the office or if you work at a supply house behind the counter, to join the community, because not only can you share, your advice and promote your business, but you can also learn a lot more about what your customers are experiencing. It's kind of like social listening on steroids, I feel, because it's kind of difficult for manufacturers or distributors, for that matter, to really get close to the customer in Instagram or Facebook, or I love all these other platforms, but they're not concentrated with their exact target audience. And so this is a good platform for them to join and hear the pain points and maybe offer solutions or create solutions based off of what people are talking about, what their experience is. So I think it becomes a stronger community when other members also join and share their thoughts. And sometimes it's just friendly and fun social community, but other times they're like, how do I fix this? Or what tool should I be using? And in that case, it's really valuable to have people who are like, well, I built this, or I sell this and I know this product in and out, and they can jump in and help people learn how to do their jobs better and more efficiently.
Okay. Is it regionalized at all? Like, I mean, obviously it's the whole country, and I think it's mainly US right now.
Right now it's in the US App Store.
Right. Okay. But anyway, so regional, like we're here in San Diego, California, or they kind of group together so they kind of can communicate about that. Because obviously I don't want a Boston distributor reaching out to me because I can't really help me. I mean, you can ship things, but
you can meet with other people on the app too. But the way that we're also starting to work with the manufacturers and the distributors to help target users that are either in their zip code or in their area, it helps ensure that people are all communicating to somebody who's relevant to you.
Right. Okay.
And like the supply house map too, you can open a map, and it's I love the idea of it being map first. And so you open it up and you see where you're located, and then you can find like supply houses near you. Yeah. Because in that instance, it's much more important that it's like geographically close to you, as opposed to the social aspect. You might want to just be friends with people all over the country. So you can pick and choose depending on what you're looking for.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of also, we benefit in such a major way from the phones, right?
Yeah.
iOS, Android, and in these devices, they've got GPS built in.
Yeah.
Maps were a new user experience that before we probably remember the days where you'd have directions just listed out in kind of a boring list. But you saw the proliferation of new forms of technology and applications like Uber and others that are these map-first experiences. So while the community is nationwide, the software really allows you to, when you want to work nationally, to be able to, cut across and communicate with people anywhere. Right. But at the same time, when I need something locally, it's smart enough to use those same tools that those other platforms are using to regionalize it for me and make it, really accessible as the worker to what I need right now, where I'm located, wherever that job site might be.
Well, the great thing is, just hit me while you're talking. A lot of these people, a lot of tradespeople travel around the country and do work around the country. So if I'm communicating with you in Boston, we've chatted for a couple of years on this app, and then I go there, You now have an instant friend that I can maybe connect with and work with,
you have
or
access
whatever.
to local regional data that you wouldn't have otherwise had before.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
The compare your pay feature is also map based. So like if you're thinking about moving, like you look at the map and you think, oh, I'm not making a lot of money here. Maybe I want to move to a part of the country where I could earn more money. You can look at the map and kind of compare benefits and wages compared to your experience level and different.
Yeah, it's not even state, right? This is really regionalized, right?
Yeah.
We know in our area, in toward Boston or Cambridge is its own different spot compared to just 5 or 10 miles out. In some areas, you might have a couple hour span as a region. So we really have tried to listen to users and make it what they want. Like a lot of even how we use maps and how we regionalize data was based on feedback from the user. It wasn't something we just came up with.
Sure.
We put it out there and said, what's going to benefit you? How is it going to improve your life? And then use that data as kind of the seed to get things started.
So you're pretty tied in with your user base, I assume, and then your future design elements and all that's kind of the way that works, I think.
Yeah,
in your world.
Rob on our team is really takes the lead in connecting on the product side, and I think the team as a whole, it's part of the team's DNA has always been to talk to the user, work with the user. I remember in the early days of the company, we used to once a month have this Wednesday night. There's this little burger place that we would go to, and we'd invite people in the trades, come for a burger and a beer, and just talk about things and look at software and get feedback. It's amazing, the difference of seeing someone and talking and listening, just the small things and details that you can obsess over in software to make it better. That makes good software great, or it's just software mediocre, and being with users and getting that feedback, I think, is one of the things that's been part of the team's DNA from day one.
Yeah, and as it's scaled too, the cool thing is that the team has developed new features that has allowed the new members of the team to also be able to communicate and learn more. So we have a couple of the members of the team here, so like Claire and Sonu, and they do a lot of community outreach. And they do polling, and they work with Rob as well to do really figuring out what do the users want, what are their pain points, what do they need. So we do a lot of polling in the app, and some of them are really fun polls, but so they're engaging. But a lot of times it's what's your biggest problem that we could maybe solve, and then share in the comments, how you feel about this. And so we're constantly asking the users questions about their jobs and maybe kind of trying to discover opportunities for us to solve those problems with technology.
Okay.
And that's really cool, because now that we have so many users, you get so many responses. So you get all this great qualitative and quantitative data that you can look at and make really strategic decisions about where the app is going to grow. And I think that's a really important part of the process that we work together as a team to really make sure that the community is telling us what they want their app to be.
It's their home.
It's
their digital home.
Yeah, and like you said, now you have 350,000. That's a lot of people to tap into. Let's speaking of users, let's talk a little bit about a couple of super users. You shared a couple of stories with me yesterday, and we'll probably put some little clips up here of them, who they are. So you maybe share a couple of those stories that you were talking with me. I think Lexi and
K-Sparky is a good one too. Yeah, I'm happy to. I'm actually very excited that Trade Hounds has partnered with a couple of really, really awesome people who started as influencers pretty early on in the electrical field. So I think when people think about social media influencers, at least outside of the skilled trades, you may not realize that there are actual influencers that are real electricians.
Yeah.
That's their job. And then they also teach other people, how to do all these things. So in addition to doing their full-time job, they're also recording video and teaching other people how to do it. And so there's this really awesome spirit of giving back and showing others and helping younger people learn. And I really love that part of it. And so we were drawn to many of them, but Lexi's a great example. So she goes by Lex the Electrician. If you guys want to check her out, I think she already has more than 1 million followers on TikTok alone.
Oh, wow.
So she has a ton of followers, and she's on every social platform.
Sure.
And so she has a really good audience there. But when we put her content inside of Trade Hounds, it's a different experience for the community, but also for the influencers, because those are that's your target audience. So a lot of the apprentices may not have found her on social. They may not have even known to look for her, but when they come into the app, they can see the videos of her fixing things, and they can learn from her. And I also think it's important that people like Lexi represent women in the trades.
Sure.
I think that's something that it's no secret that there aren't a lot of women in the skilled trades. The representation isn't there, but we do have a really big shortage of skilled labor.
Okay.
And so one of the big issues that our entire ecosystem is kind of battling is that we don't have enough people to do the jobs. And I think
100%.
that's a very easy way that we can start increasing more workers and just encouraging women to come into the fields.
Yeah.
And Lexi does a great job of doing that. So I appreciate that she shows other women, and you'll see a lot of comments like, I just hadn't seen women do that before. And now I feel like maybe a little more comfortable going after that career path. And maybe I didn't even think about it, or I didn't see myself there. I didn't, see people who look like me. And so I do think representation is really important. And then Case Sparky too, in his own way, I mean, he does a great job of representing a lot of like the Mexican American community. He also speaks Spanish, which is really important to ensure that a lot of the construction workers or a lot of skilled trades people have a platform that feels like they can come in there and communicate with him. And he's just a wonderful person too, which is nice.
Yeah.
That he's a genuinely wonderful human being. But you see it in the videos and the way that they communicate with the community. It's really nice that they just want to teach and share and encourage people and like celebrate people in the trades.
Yeah, what I noticed about Lexi's, now the sound was off, so I couldn't hear what was being said in that. But I saw her son or kid, I don't know what kind of, but I thought it was cool. She's kind of showing her whole self, right?
Yep.
Like people are out there, we have kids, we have lives, and you got to balance the two. And so she has that imagery, and I'm sure she's talking about it in there too.
It's very real, right?
Well, right.
And it's the same as the rest on the community. Everyone has lives and
they're going to get that.
Hobbies and experiences, and they have their craft as well.
Yeah,
they continue to hone. So it's great to see all of that, from the users and these influences. I think you were just saying about the lack of the need for more tradespeople. It's not that the tradespeople are hidden somewhere. There's absolutely a shortage.
Yeah.
And there's a long game here, and using platforms like this to really get kids excited about being in the trades, because this isn't going to get solved overnight, but it has to start somewhere. And I think that's, when I think back to the earliest days of some of our ideas, the core team that was working on Trade Hounds, it was also thinking that this isn't an overnight fix where we just need to use technology and sign everybody up, because they're missing. There's not enough. We need, many, multiple X, 2, 3X what's already there.
Yeah.
And then think of all those that are retiring to replace that. So, platforms like this and these influencers, I think it's a great opportunity for kids to see this is a viable and exciting career path.
Yeah, and that authenticity too, I think really resonates with younger people especially. And I think they kind of almost expect or demand that now, and they're not really going to be convinced to do something the way that we used to be, with really polished and refined. And I love video, but we have to be honest that especially when you see people like Lexi in their living room, in their kitchen, cooking for their kid, that authenticity is so important, I think, especially to younger people. It really, really matters. And so in addition to having that part of the community, I think it also helps for us to grow the sponsors of the app, because of course, in order for us to grow and for us to be able to support the community with the tools that they want to do their jobs, we need to be able to pay for that. And so what's pretty cool is that a lot of the sponsors look to people like Lexi or like Case Sparky who have that authenticity. And so in addition to them being able to create content for the community, they can also create content that's like sponsored branded content where they're teaching you how to do something, but maybe they're using like a Klein tool.
Sure. Yeah. I know the tool companies are on there. That's
good. And the tool companies are on there.
Good companies to be on there.
And they need that authenticity too. So they're trying to reach those younger people. They understand that like to have real people like the Lexis and the Case Sparkies of the world representing your brand is really where the industry is going. And for us to be able to work with manufacturers in that way is such a win-win. The distributors too, because then we all benefit and we're able to put that money back into the app to create tools that the users can use to make their jobs easier. Like the AI image search, like a lot of the apprentices we saw, they were like, this is so great because I don't have to memorize the name of every tool.
Of course not.
And
No.
it's really going to be helpful for them as they enter the field to be able to take a picture of something and immediately see, what is this called? And
Yep.
all those tools, it takes money. So
Yep.
it's great that we can grow in a way that's really beneficial to everyone in the ecosystem.
Yeah. Well, okay, look, we're kind of running up against time here as some other people want to talk, but I could talk to you all for a long time. I think the energy is awesome. This is why I wanted to have you on. I'm definitely going to have to try to get Lexi and Kay Sparky on the show. I think it'd be fun to
That'd be great.
chat with them
You
and kind of get more of their story and what they're seeing. But thank you so much for coming on the show
Thanks for
today.
having us.
It's been
Thank you.
awesome, and look forward to posting this and hearing about it. So it'd be great.
Thanks so
Thanks a
much.
lot.
Excellent.
Well, that was my conversation with John Clark, CTO, and Jeanette Abrahamsen, Vice President of Social and Content, both at Trade Hounds. You can connect with John and Jeanette and learn what they're working on by heading to the links in the show notes. So Trade Hounds is free, and I've recently signed up for the app and would love to connect with you on there. But if not there, you can still email me at podcast@graybar.com. If you enjoyed this episode, you can help us grow the show by subscribing and leaving a 5-star rating in your favorite podcast player and on YouTube. Thanks for listening to this episode of Keeping the Lights On. We'll see you next time.